I remember there was a girl I went to high school with, and she lived the most distorted lifestyle, and yet she seemed to have everything. She was a cheerleader, she was popular, she was at the forefront, she got really good grades, and I just thought, this doesn't make sense to me. How is she getting away with this? Well, it did catch up with her. She's dead now.
Yep. It's gonna be one of them videos. And I'll be honest with you, there is a part of me that doesn't want to make videos on Ruby, Jodi, Connection, Mums of Truth, all of this stuff anymore, okay? I just want to forget about it and just pretend it never existed. But then there's also a part of me that wants to carry on making videos on them. And it's not because it's easy content, for the most part, but it's actually because every single time I get a bit curious and be like, oh, I wonder what they're up to now, it just gets worse and worse. That little clip you've just seen at the beginning of this video, I saw on TikTok last night at like 2 AM in bed, and I was like, you know what? I shouldn't be surprised, but for some reason, I am. She used a girl who's died to try and manipulate people to live in truth. Like, that is the lowest of the law. So yeah, as you can imagine, once I did see that video on TikTok last night, my little commentary goggles got back on, and I decided, you know what? Let's see what she's actually been up to. And to be fair, it wasn't just like Ruby and 8 Passengers that I decided to kind of look back at and see what they're getting up to now. It was a bunch of these family channels, like the Ace family, for example. But they're just kind of up to their normal shit, you know? They start off a video by mentioning that Disneyland's been ever so kind to invite them out and give them queue jump and all this stuff.
We already reached out to Disneyland. They know we're coming. They're gonna give us a whole tour guide. We get to cut in front of lines. We get to, like, you know, get the whole VIP experience and make it super special for Lele. So again, shout out to Disneyland for always taking care of my family. We appreciate you guys so much.
Now, even though that might not even be true because it's the Ace family at the end of the day, they're not exactly known for telling the truth. I mean, Ruby would be fuming. But let's just say that Disneyland did give them all this VIP access, which would be very rare for them, right? They've decided to title the video, Disneyland almost ruined Alaya's 4th birthday, very sad. As ungrateful as ever, Austin McBroom, I can't say I'm surprised. Oh, and by the way, the reason why one of the daughters' birthdays was ruined is because 2 of the characters that are known for being like a bit nasty, a bit evil and whatnot, were acting in character.
Happy, sisters?
That's it?
It's my
Think about it.
Angry stepsisters. Look at my kids are sad now. See what you did to my kids? Priscilla? It ain't Priscilla. What the hell is her name? They just ruined my 4-year-old's. She's crying.
So yeah, Austin McBroom just needs a bit of a reality check realistically, but we already kind of knew that, so let's get back to Ruby Frank. Now we have a lot to talk about with 8 Passengers, with more family members coming out and speaking up against Connections and the Mums of Truth page and whatnot, and then we're also going to take a look at what they've just been up to in general and the horrible message that they continue to spread. So let's have a look at that first, shall we? But just before we get into that, if you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so, because I'm trying to hit 400,000 subscribers on this channel. We're a bit off right now, so if you do want to help out, that would be bloody lovely. So since the last time I spoke about Ruby and Jodi, they actually went live on their Instagram account, which used to be the 8 Passengers account, but is now just branded as Mums of Truth. And as you can imagine, there's some real good moments in this, you know, some top class advice. I mean, one question is asked what Ruby would do differently with her kids if she could go back in time and raise them again, to which her answer is basically, I just wish I could control them a bit more.
Because as they get older, you don't have that ability to go in and like move them where you want them. they move where they want, they say what they want, and so I get to teach them, you know, expectations, and I get to teach them principles, and then they get to choose what they're going to do with that. So it's tempting for me to go back and say, if only I would have known, I didn't know that. And I wish I would have taught them that when they were 5, but now, you know, they're 15 or 16 or 17. And
now, trust me when I say this, Ruby, I'm pretty sure you had more than enough control. I mean, we went through the list of things many times in the past, like sending a kid to a behavioural wilderness camp, making them sleep on the floor without a bed for 7 months straight because they played a prank on their brother, taking their presents away at Christmas. Like, you had more than enough control, and I don't even want to know what you actually would change, okay? If that wasn't enough, what the fuck else is there? They also got to talk about how Ruby went to go and get her van fixed, and one of the mechanics was talking to her, and Ruby started bringing up truth and whatnot, and Jodi says, he woke up.
She shared with him about how to live responsibly and how to be honest with oneself. And this man said, wow, I mean, he's a car mechanic, and he was looking for truth. And when Ruby started sharing it with him, he woke up and he was grateful and he became emotional, and he's like, I need this help. My wife needs help. I need help.
Like, I'm sorry, okay, but does nobody else get cult vibes? And I don't even want to know how the conversation went, because as Jodi just said, the guy responded by saying, oh, I need help and my wife needs help, like with their relationship, I'm assuming, right? But we all know exactly what Jodi's advice is to marriages and relationships. She was literally put on an 18-month probation period, nearly had her marriage counselling license took off her because she lied to a couple and tried to ruin their marriage. Like, you shouldn't be giving this advice. But then we get to the part in the live stream which is my personal favourite, where they actually read some of the comments, and as you can imagine, with Jodi and Ruby's reputation, the comments weren't exactly nice. Now, quick warning before this video starts, the silence is deafening.
You're reading the comments, Ruby?
Yeah, I am. I'm scrolling through them.
I mean, something tells me they didn't like what they saw. But I also just don't see why they would be shocked at this point. Like, surely they've seen that 99.9% of people disagree with what they've been doing. As we found out in my last video, where I joined their Volley account, their membership platform where you've got to pay $21 a month to get advice personally from them within 24 hours. Even though she was late to give me advice, but I mean, that's fine. But out of the 10,000 people on their Facebook page, which Jodi kept saying over and over again, it's just too many people, you know, we're growing at a rapid rate. So we've made this membership platform so you can have your voice heard. Out of that 10,000 people, 6 joined. And that 6 included Jodi, Ruby, and me. So there was 3 other people. So surely she knows that the majority of the people who are listening to their advice and are joining the Facebook page aren't there because they like Jodi and Ruby. They're there to see the fucking world burn, basically. So I don't see how they're shocked at the comments, but I mean, delusion, eh? It's a wonderful thing. Now, this next video I wanted to show you was Ruby Franke answering a question on her Facebook page, and the reason why I picked this clip is because she's talking about kids who don't want to speak to their mother anymore or their parent because of the way they've been treated and what they're getting forced to do and whatnot, and I just thought it was interesting because she has first-hand experience.
You know, these teenagers and into young adults will say things like, if you don't accept your child where they're at right now, then they won't talk to you anymore. So can you see the manipulation in that?
Right, so if your child doesn't like the way that they're being controlled and doesn't like the message you're spreading or just the things you say and doesn't agree with you, they're manipulating you. Yeah, I'm sure they are, mate. And like I said, this is interesting because Shari definitely has went her separate ways and doesn't appreciate what Ruby has been saying and doesn't agree with what she's been saying and has moved out. Chad has moved out. We still don't really know what his opinions are, but he's living with his dad. Like, you have had this experience firsthand. You're currently going through it. So surely she thinks she's being manipulated by her kids, is what she's saying. Like, she's fucking lost the plot. And like I said, delusion. They are so delusional, it's amazing. I just don't get how a person can think this way. And it's not just her kids either. Like, all her family is speaking out against her. Her siblings are speaking out against her. She's now went through a divorce, which obviously I'm not going to assume what the reason was for that or whatnot, but everyone seems to be against her. But for some reason, she still believes she's the one who's right. And speaking of people who always think they're right, let's move on to Jodi Hildebrandt, because she's still carrying on, you know, being Jodi Hildebrandt, because she was asked a question where a parent basically says, I have a son who needs to get some clothes for school but wanted to shop in the girls section and didn't want boy clothes, and she starts off the video with a warning, which isn't a great start.
And before I read this question, I want to say a few things, but it's triggering for people who have a certain agenda, who have a certain angle, who want this to mean something in particular. And so as I read this question, I'm going to then interpret it in a different way than probably some of you are expecting. I'm going to interpret it in the truth.
Yeah, don't you worry, Jodi. We wouldn't expect anything different. Now look, this is usually where I would make a joke saying like, oh, do we think that Jodi has had a change of heart and maybe a change of opinions because she's seen what everyone's saying against her and maybe she's thought, you know what, I'm going to stop being delusional and actually think like a normal human being, but I don't even need to make that joke anymore. You already know that's not the case.
But the women are like, I'm in the wrong body. So then they become men in theory. They aren't really, they're still women. So now they dress up like a man according to what they consider a man looks like. What's wrong with us? What's wrong with us? That's doublespeak. That's deception at its greatest form. Don't buy into it. Don't buy into lies. You buy into lies, you cannot live in truth.
Classic Jodi Hildebrandt, everybody. Just such a fucking hateful person, man. Like, it's fucking bizarre. And you can really get a glimpse in these videos of how she just manipulates people. Like, all of the Google reviews dating back like 10 years are talking about how Jodi is a massive manipulator, right? And the way she's like, do not buy into these lies, do not do it, and all this stuff. This is probably the same shit she said to Jodi, and clearly it's worse because Jodi is... I don't even know how to explain it. She's a bit nutty, right? But so much so that it's ruined her whole family life, and she doesn't seem to care because all she cares about is Jodi Hildebrandt's opinions. Obviously, this is just my thought, it might not be 100% true, but to me, if I had to guess, I think Jodi is a master manipulator, and it's worked perfectly on Ruby. And this comment I found on the Facebook page just sums up perfectly how they try to manipulate people on here, and it's fucking grim. So I have a diagnosed eating disorder. Is that distortion? You are responsible for your eating disorder always. I don't know what you mean by diagnosed. If you mean you're not responsible for your eating disorder, that's distorted. Literally blaming a person because they have a diagnosed eating disorder that they've been told they have from a fucking doctor, a professional, and Jodi or Ruby or whoever written this comment is just basically saying, fuck the doctor, it's your fault. What a horrible, horrible thing to say to a person. Like, imagine, and God forbid that Vic does listen to what they've said on this comment, but imagine if someone does actually listen to this comment, and they're like, oh fuck, is it my fault? Is there nothing I can redo? Like, am I a bad person? Like, isn't like, it's horrible, man. I really, really don't like it. There's one thing saying your hot takes and just coming across as a horrible person, but to directly reply to a person like this, who is clearly going through something, has a diagnosed eating disorder, as they say in their comment, and then to just kind of shit on them and blame them and maybe eliminate every piece of work they've done on themselves for however long they've been dealing with this, and just kind of put them back to like point A. Like, why would you possibly do this? I don't understand it. But let's get on to Ruby's family, because they've been very vocal, haven't they? The siblings, the daughter, everybody's been very vocal that they want to distance themselves from Ruby. They don't agree with anything she's saying. They don't agree with connections. They don't agree with Jodi, and they're worried about her because she's being a horrible individual. Well, it seems like they're still not shy in saying what they think, because we have a video here from Ruby's sibling where they're basically taking the piss out of the advice that Jodi and Ruby have been giving out. Now, if it wasn't already completely obvious that this is a dig at connections, they make sure that people know it's a dig. Because first of all, Jared actually liked someone's TikTok comment that said, okay, Jodi, and the person who actually left this comment DM'd me this screenshot, so thank you very much for that. And even on the Instagram video, someone has left a comment saying, just live in truth without distortion, and Jared has replied saying, simple as that. Just clearly taking the piss out of Jodi and Ruby. But as much as the video is funny and it's a parody of connections and whatnot, like, that is genuinely what they've been saying. Like, people are coming to them with advice with serious things like eating disorders, depression, feeling suicidal, not knowing what to do with their children, like, so much stuff. And literally, Jodi and Ruby's advice is, just live in truth. You're cured. So even though it seems absolutely ridiculous in the video when they're parodying it, that's genuinely what Jodi and Ruby have been saying. Surely she can see these videos from, like, her siblings and a statement from her daughter and all this stuff and think, oh shit, like, am I fucking up? Like, am I doing the wrong thing here? But she doesn't, and it blows my mind. But either way, that's been the update on 8 passengers, connections, mums of truth, whatever you want to call it, and talking about what they've been up to and what the family's been saying and all that stuff. So let me know in the comment section down below what you did think of everything I mentioned in today's video. If you did enjoy, leave a like down below as well, that'd be bloody lovely, and subscribe as well if you're new. Alright, bye. Oh, also, since Bailey did get so much love in the comment section of the last video, and pretty much every comment was saying we need Bailey in every single video, this is for the people who made it to the end, okay? Right, he's laid on the floor at the minute, but give me a second. Bailey, come here. Come here. Say hello to the people. Hey? They're very friendly, I promise. Oh, no. He's just gonna look adorable. Okay, right. In a bit.